come on. Oh no, I just, oh, come on. Now I covered myself up so much I don't know if the angle's good. I think it's fine. Let's find out. Today's video is all about the things you need for quarantine, and luckily, I've caked a lot of them already. So one of the things that's happening during quarantine is apparently a lot of people are baking bread. We're going back to basics. I'm slightly bothered that everyone hasn't chosen to bake cake, but whatever. Luckily, I've caked bread. Win-win! You can have your bread and eat it too. I loved making these bread cakes because, first of all, there's just endless types of bread in this world. So I decided to make a few different types of bread, some buns, a whole loaf. So when I applied the fondant to these cakes, I didn't use buttercream. I used a mixture of honey and piping gel to glue the fondant to these cakes. I made a lot of bread. Once again, I couldn't just make one loaf. Nope. I made an entire bread basket. That's what I did.
It's true, you really did.
And then I made one of my buns multigrain by kneading cacao nibs into my fondant. I thought it would be perfect. Normally you see all those seeds on the surface of a multigrain bread, and cacao nibs gave me that texture and that look without me putting something savory into the fondant. I also used some shortbread cookies that I pulverized. Ooh, there's a word. I pulverized them in a food processor down to crumbs to look like cornmeal, because bread is often baked on either like a pile of flour or cornmeal to stop it from sticking to the pans that they're baked on. And I had so much fun. The coolest thing about making these loaves of bread was I used bread to texture my fondant. I can't do that with many things. I couldn't use, I couldn't use a mango to texture my mango cake. But I used bread. And the other thing I love is this is one of the only cakes that there's zero filling. There's no buttercream, there's no ganache, because when I sliced it, I wanted it to look like a slice of bread. I didn't want to see cake filling. And then I had so much fun topping these slices of bread with, like peanut butter and jelly and Nutella and marmalade. Things that all taste good with bread, but also taste really good with cake. So the next quarantine trend, the next hottest trend in quarantine seems to be working out. Yes! The good news is I have caked weights. This episode actually really makes me laugh. I'm wearing the headband, but when I pick up the dumbbell and bite it and then the other end falls off. There's some peak ridiculous moments on how to cake it, and that for me is one of them. That's top 10. And apparently there's a weight shortage. I have friends who have been trying to buy weights online and they can't get any weights. They have to wait for weights. There's a waiting list. Get it? If you're one of those people who are working out, good for you. Good for you. When we all get outside, everybody's going to be like, look at you.
What are you doing to stay fit, yo?
Oh, I've been eating cake and baking. I've been going for walks. But I will say this, because my husband is home and he loves cooking, I am eating some of the best dinners of my life. Like the other night on like a Wednesday, I had homemade sweet potato gnocchi with a brown butter with sage on a Wednesday night. When I get home, I'm like, what's on the menu? I like this. I will miss that. I will actually miss that.
Are you making desserts every day?
No, I did bring home a Twix cake though. I did bring home a Twix cake, and boy, oh boy. I think quarantine is gonna result in so many different things.
Babies And divorces.
Yeah, babies and divorces.
Yeah.
I think this will shake people up into doing things they always wish they could do but couldn't or thought they couldn't.
Yeah.
What else? There's going to be a whole bunch of like new muscular people with the weight shortage, right? Everybody's going to come out looking like AC Slater. Everyone. So the next thing I think a lot of people are using during quarantine are books. Either you're reading them, maybe you're writing one, and if you're a student, you're probably having to study at home. So we're talking textbooks. And the good thing is, I made cake books. Nothing better than a cake book. So easy to read. I love cake books because, well, I like anything that's like straight, and books fit well into that category, but I also love that they're really versatile and they're easy to personalize. You can make any kind of book. You can make a textbook, you can make a novel, you can make a made-up book or a replica of a real book. I just think that they're great. You can make a stack of books, which is what I did. One of my favorite cakes I ever made for clients was for two philosophers. First of all, when have you met two philosophers? Like when this couple called me, I was like, you're a philosopher? You're both philosophers? I've never encountered.
They were a couple?
They were a couple. It was their wedding cake. So for their wedding, they wanted a stack of their favorite philosophy books. I made 11 books.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You know what I think of every time I see this video? The fridge broke down while I was making this cake. It was summer, it was hot. We had different lights, so the whole set was much hotter, and the fridge broke down. So when I'm covering the cake, the sides of the cake, and when I put it in the fridge, the fondant was just not setting. The fridge just wasn't cold anymore. Put the cakes on hold, had the fridge fixed, and continued. Here's a tip, maybe don't choose a book cover with that much writing and illustration. Just a suggestion. The top book I made was actually Aesop's science book, and it has so much writing. It has the longest title in the world, and then it has a bunch of little illustrations. It has a lot of different colors, which is why for that cover, I rolled out a gum paste sheet so that I could take my time drawing on it. You can use food coloring markers on fondant. They don't work as well. And because fondant is softer, the marker feels like pressing in, which makes it harder to draw. So I created some gum paste sheets, and then I slowly worked at that cover. So the next quarantine hot item is, I want to make this like Lifestyles, the Rich and Famous. I want to just really be like, in quarantine, we're playing checkers. I love making this because, well, a lot of straight lines. I mean, this cake is probably the queen of straight lines. I mean, I checkered the cake inside to make a full square checkerboard. Then I had to make a grid of gold lines, and then I had to make squares to fit in and create the checkerboard. It was just, talk about right angles. This was a right angle extravaganza.
I also love that if you were in an episode of the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, it would be like, in this episode, Yolanda Gampp has this right angle extravaganza.
Exactly. We should. That would be, and then you know what they would do? You know how like on Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, they would go and show you like people's underground wine cellars and like their private jets? Yeah. For me, it would be like my ruler collection.
Here's 700 cake
pans, and like she doesn't just own one Sir Squeeze. She owns 5. Guys, who's at home playing board games? What board games are you playing? Cards. I love playing cards. I can't even tell you. And I'm a total card shark. And I've been teaching my son how to play cards and how to like keep a poker face. Because he doesn't have one. Like he gets dealt a good card and he's like, right? And it's like, I'm somebody who's so expressive too. I have a hard time hiding my emotions, but not when I play cards. Not when I play cards. I'm like, and the final item in quarantine is slippers. We're all wearing pajamas and sweats anyway. We might as well wear our slippers. And I think slippers are great. I love this cake because it looked so cozy. I've never made a cake that looked cozy before. Like they actually looked puffy and soft and cozy, which I was really pleased with. I'm still wearing Crocs in the kitchen, but around the house I do wear slippers. It's still a bit like, it's on the chilly side here.
I still feel like I do that even in the summer. I just like having slippers on in the house.
Yeah, I agree. Nothing like a good pair of slippers. Yeah, these are definitely an easier pair of shoes to make. If you want to make a shoe cake, start with slippers. Don't start with runners. Don't start with boots. Slippers.
They're the gateway to shoe cakes.
Shoe cakes. I do enjoy that. I mean, not for me. I wear Crocs in the kitchen, but I'm sure a lot of people working from home are happy that slippers have replaced heels.
Oh, yes.
That's what we're going to see. When we come out of quarantine, people won't know how to walk in their heels anymore.
Will they even try, I wonder? Will we all just go on wearing yoga pants and slippers all day?
That's right. You know what, too? Now, like, people wear slides. Slides are so in.
Yeah.
Which is just an outdoor slipper. Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Here's another item for quarantine. How to cake it. Subscribe. There's so many cakes to watch. Maybe you'll start baking cakes and push that bread aside. This is your last chance for March memberships to get this adorable hoodie and our 3 sprinkle blends. So check them out below. I love this hoodie.
It's comfy, huh?
It's comfy. Click below if you want one. For some quarantine baking ideas, click here.
Quarantine interview done.
Woo!